Behind the Lens, episode number 7, in 3, 2, 1, credits. Okay, so welcome everyone, Behind the Lens, episode 7. As I sit in my dining room, I'm joined by Bristol photography legends Sam Binding and Tim Phillips. And the reason we're doing this week, a little bit different. Basically, it's because it's too bloody cold to be outside. I'm sat here looking out my kitchen window at snow flurries. It's been around about -5, -6 real feel all week. So none of us are brave enough to go outside. And we thought we'd take this opportunity for the three of us to catch up, answer some of your questions, and you might get something out of it. Who knows? So we'll dive straight in. First of all, I need to say that if you do see a Red Stripe can, this is not a sponsored event. However, that said, Red Stripe, if you do ever see this, send some my way by all means. So we'll dive straight in, guys. Nice to see you again. Thank you for joining us. And we've received a couple of questions over the course of the week. I'm going to drop these in no particular order, but I'm going to throw this first one to Sam, and then we can all put our own spin on this. The first one comes in from Kimberly Lane Photography, who I gather you guys know as well through Instagram. So for Sam, what's the best piece of photography advice, or the most valuable piece of photography advice you think you've ever been given?
Most valuable advice? Make sure your camera is charged the night before. I've turned up at, I think, one of the best mornings I've been out, and I had my battery had completely gone, and luckily that morning Bryn Webley was there, and he had a spare battery, and I got loads of photos out off the back of it. But yeah, that's a no-no.
I've got a very recent one to chuck on top of that. Sam and I were out last week at a location in South Bristol, and because I'd done a shot the previous day from where I work, I didn't realise until after shooting the sunset that because everything was on manual focus and the sun came up so quickly, I didn't bother. Got the f-stop right, got the timer right, didn't bother actually setting my focus. And so all my sunrise pictures are ever so slightly blurry. Not that you'd notice on social media, but you know how perfectionist we can be. For me, I was devastated. And I've done that a few times, so I should know better by now. What about yourself, Tim?
Yeah, I think the main one, the one that always comes up is like people always say they shoot in manual mode, and it's always constantly you've got to shoot in manual, and you're always having that fight to get back into manual. But then you've got aperture priority and things like that, so that's quite a good one to kind of like use. And if you're just going around on a walk or something like that, then you can just quickly snap away. Whereas with manual mode, you might, if you're kind of like setting yourself up for a scene, and you've got the scene in front of you, you can use the manual mode to kind of like get all the settings right. With aperture priority, if you're like just walking around and you want to get a little snap or anything like that, you can just quickly just pop them off here, there, and everywhere.
One other that I'll chuck in, not necessarily for Kimberly because she's actually a really experienced photographer, but just especially if you're starting out, there is literally no substitute for time spent. Literally get out there and spend as many hours as possible learning your craft. Nothing replaces that.
No. And it's funny, I always get asked, how do you always get the sunrises and stuff? How do you always get the golden light and the mist and whatever? It's because you have to go out every single morning and get it. And I haven't been out the last 3 mornings, and every single one of them has been amazing. You've just got to get out there.
If you're not there to shoot it, then it doesn't wait for you, does it?
No,
exactly.
Very difficult to plan and predict when the weather's going to be amazing. I've had so many times out where I thought it'd be mist and everything, and it's been a write-off.
I said in the last video, actually, which 2 videos back, about when how I plan shoots and how I always seem to be in the right place at the right time, and it's not an accident. And you can never fully predict it, but what you certainly can do is weigh the odds in your favour. If you use the relevant apps and weather sort of apps and other bits and pieces, then you can certainly stack the odds in your favour of it happening. But like you say, unless you're out, you're not going to get it.
No, yeah.
It's easier said than done when the weather's like this.
Yeah, definitely, and especially going this morning. Nobody could have predicted this morning. Well, the last 3 mornings really. It just come out of nowhere. So it's just taking a chance. So some mornings you might go out and it'd be absolute, like, well, it might be a blizzard out there, and then the next morning you go out there and then it's a beautiful sunrise. So it's, you just got to go out, just got to get out and shoot it. And as Aid said, you've got to take as many photos as you can when you're first starting out. Go take as many as you can, just to sort of build that up, get to know your camera.
Yeah, I had one of my friends ask me, who's just starting out, like, am I taking too many photos? Because he was coming back with 200-300 shots from a morning shoot every time he went out, and I'd say no, not initially. Fire off as many as you can. I usually, even to this day, so when we went out last weekend, I took about 100. And I'll get that down to around about 50 within the camera. I'll delete back about half of them. Then I'll take about 50 or so into my editing suite. And then from there, I'll end up with maybe around about 10 that I really like.
Yeah, I think sometimes as well, where I'm using the zoom lens, for example, like I'll take like 5 shots in a go. And then when I look at them, you'll see that like 1 or 2 of them will be sharp, even though you're taking the same shots. But the slight, you're breathing at the moment you press the shutter or whatever, and there's a slight gust of wind or whatever, the focus will be slightly different. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with taking loads of photos.
Right, next one, I'll throw this one to Tim initially. It's from Attunement on Instagram, better known as Sam. Thank you for the question, Sam, which is, how do you find inspiration and get motivated to take interesting photos during the current lockdown situation?
I've personally found that the lockdown is, people are saying about the inspiration and everything. I find that the lockdown is the opposite way for me. I'm loving the fact that you can go out and there's like you can see these other different bits and pieces. You can see nature and all that sort of stuff. So as people who follow me know that I'm out with my dog every morning, out with Bear. I'm loving the fact that I can go out and there's I felt that nature's come back into it a little bit. It's been able to sort of like build it to get back to itself a little bit more. You get to see a little bit more sort of birds, the actual songbirds and all that sort of stuff. So I find that I'm the opposite. I'm more into it. I get more involved in it. I get more kind of my inspiration's always there. I love photography, so
I think it's quite easy to see how people struggle, especially if you don't have the ability to get out, if you are sort of stuck at home. One thing I'll say is this: the first lockdown seemed a lot harder and a lot stricter, and I think we all were staying at home. I just used the time to teach myself new areas of photography. So I got myself a macro lens, and I was forever crawling around in the back garden trying to teach myself macro photography. When the weather wasn't great, then I brought that indoors, and I was sort of, what can I do inside the house? It's creative. And then when I wasn't doing that, I took myself composite photos and learned. So I just used the opportunity to learn different areas and different skills. What about yourself, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same kind of things, like macro lens. I think about 50% of photographers probably bought macro lens during that first lockdown. I mean, it kind of pushed you into trying to find something different, because whereas before I'd kind of be stuck in a rut of going to the suspension bridge, going to Ashton Court, getting the same old stuff again and again and again. But I was forced into going to local parks, and sort of being up at sunrise at a different place. Just kind of pushing yourself to work with what's local to you, which was quite interesting.
I'm gonna take the next one, which is from Lowell Photography, Loic. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that right, Loic. Thank you for this. This is a good one, and it's one that there's a story behind this that I know you guys will appreciate. Any advice on how to look after and clean your kit to keep it in optimal working condition and any conditions you won't shoot in? So. I'm a bit of a coward, as these guys will testify to when it comes to my kit. I won't put it in any risky situation at all. So I absolutely do not shoot in the in the rain. Even light rain makes me paranoid. But the three of us took ourselves off to Durdledor in Dorset in September-ish, maybe I want to say September, October last year. And despite what the weather conditions were saying, when we got down there, it was absolutely blowing a gale. And I think I took about 2 shots the whole time I was down there, because as soon as you took the lens cap off, it was just getting buffered and sandpapered basically by the amount of dust and grit and sand blowing around. So I absolutely do not shoot in very windy conditions where there's a lot of things blowing around in the atmosphere, and I avoid moisture and the rain. And they're my 2 sort of bugbears that I won't shoot in. What about you guys, Sam?
Yeah, definitely on sand and wind. I hate that combination. Wind is I hate, but then if you're kind of going for like stormy photos, you're going to get that. But I don't mind. Rain is an interesting one. It depends. It depends what it's like. I know. I think Tim, you and me were out in I think we were doing some night photography a year ago, and it was probably the most torrential rainstorm I think I can remember. But as a result, you get the most amazing reflections on the ground from that. I don't know. I mean, I think as long as your camera's okay and it's not going to get damaged, it's worth just trying any weather condition. But there's obviously my favourite weather conditions.
And Tim, in conditions for you, but is there any advice that you'd give somebody to be able to keep their kit in tip-top condition?
Cleaning is one of my worst problems for me. I always forget to clean my camera, but
me too.
But when I do, I go crazy on it. But I think the main one is I've always bought like a little bottle of sprays to sort of like clean on the lens and everything. Get an air blower on there to blow out any of the dust and everything. And just there was a guy on Reggie B Photos. He's a Fuji guy. He actually doesn't put lens caps on.
What?
But, and he's like a professional wedding photographer, and he he doesn't put on them at all.
What?
But literally takes both ends of the caps off and puts them into bags, takes them out, and
I'm sorry. I didn't really care much about it, but then I was trying to get shots of sunbursts at the suspension bridge one morning, and I had it on because you want to get the proper kind of sunburst. You need to have the aperture right, like whacked up to like 16 and above. And unfortunately, when you do that, any kind of dust or particle really shows up on the lens. You get all these kind of flares and everything. Yeah. And it was, basically the photo was a complete write-off. And I went back and took off the lens and looked at the sensor, and there was so much stuff all over the sensor. So yeah, I'll do the same. Right? I get a sensor cleaning kit, and you give it. It's a little bit. You're a bit sketchy about spraying onto the sensor itself, but those things are amazing.
Yeah, and if you're not sure, just as a backup, if you're not sure, take it to a camera shop and get them to do it. Don't do it yourself.
Yeah. I've had my old Nikon I had professionally cleaned, and it came back as a brand new camera.
Just in case. You need a scrubbing brush and a bit of fairy liquid. Toothbrush works great.
Okay, so this one's coming from Dean, the Western Wanderer. So this is a slightly more on the personal side rather than the photography side. But what do you guys, or what do we do, is our occupations when we are not out taking photos? So how do you earn your wage to buy your kit, Sam Binding?
So I work in my wife's family business. I kind of handle marketing and website for a wholesale supplements company. So I do kind of website design and marketing, general stuff.
Okay, Tim?
I work for an insurance company. I work. That's basically what I do most of the day. So make sure that people are doing what they should be doing out there for their job.
For myself, I'm a key worker. By that I mean I'm on the front line. By that I mean I'm keeping Britain going in booze. So I work in the wine industry and have worked in the wine industry for 20 plus years now. So lockdown has actually been boom time for us, for better or worse. Okay, so the next one is from Ryan, Rui_21 on Instagram. This is a good one. This is something that Sam and I discussed only last weekend, actually. How do you balance capturing the moment and just being in the moment at some of these stunning locations? So, as I say, that's a fairly relevant one for myself and Sam, so I'll throw that one over to Sam first.
How do you capture the moment? Well, yeah, it's a tough one. Sometimes I'll kind of get into a bit of a panic when you see something in front of you. I'll try and, you want to take a little bit of a breather, make sure you've got everything set up right. A number of times I've taken the camera out of the bag and, like you're saying, image stabilization has been switched off, or it's been manual focus or whatever. I'll kind of just go through a little thing, make sure everything's right. Because I've taken shots before and like the ISO's been on the wrong setting. I just kind of try to take a breather, make sure I've got everything set up right, and try and think about the one or two shots that I really want to get those, and then I'll take the camera off the tripod and just try and get as many different angles and sort of options as I can, and then I can actually spend a bit of time actually looking at what's going on, because you don't want to kind of miss. You don't want to miss, something which is really spectacular because you spent your whole time staring through a camera.
It's hard though, isn't it, Tim? Because as I say, Sam and I got caught with this last week. Your instant reaction when you see what you're in a situation, you're in a location, and you've been waiting for this particular moment. And of course, your natural instinct as a photographer is it's all about the gear, and it's running in, it's going in, it's taking the photo, and then by the time you've got everything you want, sometimes that moment can be gone.
Yep. Yeah, I have to second what Sam says. Like making sure you've got it all set up and it's all ready to rock and roll. Like some nights I might have been out doing a night shoot the night before, so it's all kind of like set up for like you press the button and it's like you can hear the beeper going off. Which is like it's counting down, ready to take a long exposure. But yeah, that can be a bit of a pain. But yeah, I think sometimes though, and I go to Astro, because Astro is one of those ones where you're kind of like sat there, you've got it all set up, but you catch yourself sometimes, and you're like looking up at the sky, and you can see like something shooting across, and you're just all the Milky Way's there, and you're just like there in awe of it. But you've got your camera there.
That's totally the best time for it, I think. Astro's great because it's such that's the most relaxing photography. Apart from the freezing cold, that's the one you can really, because it's it's the whole night mostly.
I'd agree with that, because once you've got your settings right on Astro, generally you just let the camera fire away, and you can basically kick back, put your arms up, if it's in the summer, lie down in the grass, look up and enjoy the sky. But for sunrises and sunsets, I think they happen so quickly that I'm very, very much guilty of not enjoying the moment. So it's something I need to improve on.
Oh, it's stressful. I find it really stressful. I think there's like there's different stages of that window. There's like the kind of 40 minutes before sunrise where the sky starts to go nuts. You want to get that, and then when the sun's almost up, you then get the kind of complete different light. And then if there's mist, there's different stages of mist. So you want to get the kind of, the low-lying mist. And then when it starts to lift, you get the rays. And they're all kind of very quick, one after another. So, yeah, I actually get quite stressed out when it's...
I've seen it happen. I've witnessed the sand binding sprint. I think this one might be aimed at me. Is a friend in Canada, that Limey. So he is British. He's actually from Bristol. Shane, how you doing, Shane? How much bigger is the beard gonna get? It's lockdown. What am I supposed to do? There's nowhere open for a haircut or a beard trim at the moment. So who knows? Back to the serious ones. This one comes in again from the Western Wanderer, actually. Have you guys thought about doing a session where you take guys or girls out to as guests to help you with the photography, or I presume he means help them with their photography? So almost like a tutoring course. Is that something that's crossed your mind at all, Tim?
To be honest with you, yeah, it has. With being a mod on the Bristol Shooters, we get lots of people coming up to our meets and things like that, and they come in and help out. We help out with various people. We've got people there from different levels, from people that are maybe just starting out in their photography. We sometimes get models that switch around from being a model to a photographer. So then they start taking photos, and they ask us for help and all that sort of stuff. And it's something that I really enjoy, helping someone to make sure that if I could. I'm doing a series on Reels at the moment where I'm just doing little things that help people and little tips to try to help people out.
Which is brilliant, by the way. And it's, there's a few of those where it's taught me and saved me hours, your little Insta tips. So yeah, keep those going. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely something that I would like to do, and that's pretty much most of my job is I coach people. That is something that I do each day. I understand how people react to different people, learn in different ways as well. So it's definitely something that I would like to kind of approach in a way.
Yeah. Sam?
Yeah, it's fun. I've been asked a few times from people kind of like, do you ever do sunrise things? And I was thinking about, after lockdown, doing a proper sunrise meet, every now and then, kind of getting a group of people to go to,
Can I come on?
Absolutely. It'll be open to everyone. I think after everything's over, I think it'd be brilliant for stuff like that. I really want to do like a, sunrise photography meets like every month or so, whatever, for, I think, I'd like to help people out with photography at some point.
I'll kind of give a different spin. I'll give a different spin on this because it's something I alluded to in my previous video about why I do photography. I'm quite a lone wolf / selfish photographer. So there are times that I like to go out with my friends and shoot. However, what I will say is that photography for me is my my zen place, if that makes any sense. So I like to be out on my own. And it's as much about being out on my own with my own space and my own thinking time as it is about the photography. So I think if I were to interject that with other people and have the stress of trying to shoot yourself but also trying to help them, it's probably less appealing to me than it is for, say, someone like Tim who enjoys coaching. Our friend Bryn Wibley coming through. Hey, how you doing, Bryn? Not seen him or spoken to him for ages, so hopefully as soon as lockdown's over we can catch up with you. Do you guys bulk edit after each photo session, or do you edit specifically a single image just for Instagram? I'll take this one first, which is I'm very regimented in how I do my photography. So I go out, I shoot. As I say, I cut the number down from to half at least within the camera. I'll then export all of that into Lightroom, and I will edit the whole lot because I want to see what I've got mainly. So I will edit everything through Lightroom, and then I will export that, and then before I post on Instagram, I'll probably take that individual photo and I'll tweak it a little bit more. But in general, I bulk edit. What about yourself, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same kind of workflow, I think. You kind of get excited after a good sunrise, get back, import all the photos, and then I'll have a look like briefly at all of them, see which one stands out. I'll edit that one, or one or two of them, and then I'll come back to the other ones later on. I don't think I'll kind of sit down and go through every single photo, but yeah, I'll pull out the 2 or 3 to start with, and then I'll come back to the others like a few days later.
Tim?
Yeah, my workflow's changed because I've recently updated to the iPad, and I've been editing on an iPad, and it's gone from waiting until the evening and then kind of like doing a bulk load of editing, because I sit in the same room where I work, so it's kind of like I really want to get away from it. Whereas now I come home and I've got 10 minutes to do something, so I'll go in there, go into the camera, move them over to the iPad, and I'm literally in there editing. Just pick, as Sam said, just pick one or two, and I'm editing that one just so that it's ready. So yeah, if I'm doing portraits or something like that, so we maybe gone to a meet, that's just an individual one that can take hours for just one photo. So it's just finding your kind of like your flow on those parts.
Okay, guys. Last one that we're going to take from the questions that came in from Instagram. So apologies if we've not got to your question, but we'll probably do another one of these sessions at some point. Hopefully in a pub beer garden. That's where I'd like to record this. So it'll be better. Oh, what? Sorry.
Top of a mountain.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, top of Snowdon. We'll do a live.
Sunrise, but after the actual sunrise. So don't miss it.
So the last one is from, I believe, Scouse Parks, which is an interesting one. I'll let you guys take this one. I've started selling prints. How can I sell more? Now, I used to sell prints, but to be perfectly honest, I stopped doing it because my life's too busy with a full-time job, and I'm trying to run the gig guide and the music thing when we used to have gigs. So it was just so much hassle that I just stopped. And now my photography, it's nice because my photography is just back for me, and those images are just for me. But I believe you guys both sell. So any advice?
I would say if you want to sell prints, you want to try and target exactly what people want to buy. I mean, obviously, if you've got a unique style, you don't want to worry about that. You want to kind of just have your set of shots, have your style photos, and then people hopefully will come to buy them. But I would say that in Bristol, people wanting to buy a print will want to get a print of the suspension bridge. They want to get a print of the harbour, Clifton Wood, those kind of things. So you would want to get shots of those that look as good as possible, and that will look nice in a frame.
So if Scouse Parks isn't from, I don't know where they hail from, they may not be from Bristol, but basically identify your local area, the hot spots, the real sort of...
Yeah, so what
you want to building.
Yeah, I mean, Brownfield or something. I mean, I think, you would want to, I would suggest looking at any kind of like, Googling Liverpool, or wherever, on Etsy or somewhere like that, and you will see prints pop up for that place. See what they look like, and then try and find your own kind of angle for that. I mean, most of the prints I sell are usually of the suspension bridge or the harbour, and that's because that's what people want to have.
It's crazy, isn't it? People talk about gentrification, and it's always the same images that come up and things like that, but you're led by the market at the end of the day, and if that's what sells, that's what sells.
If you want to make money from prints, then you've got
it would be great to take a picture of a dumpster in Easton or whatever, but at the end of the day it's not going to sell. So that's why people target the areas that are well known.
I think with anything like that, you've got to market it, and as you say, like pick out which specific building, specific places that people want to have, or places which the tourists will go because they want to go there for their memories and things like that, and pick those parts out. But the biggest part is marketing, pushing it out, and just making sure people are aware of it. If you put it up on your website and say buy my prints, nothing's going to happen with it. So you need to get out there and like make people aware that it's there. Put it in there, like, I don't know, sponsored ads or something like that, or
when you do a post like stick available as a print in the caption, those kind of things. I mean, that's what a lot of people do. And actually on Instagram, you can set up a shop if you've got a website. You're on Shopify or something, or on WordPress or any of those kind of websites. You can link up Facebook to your website, and then Facebook and Instagram all connected, and that's how I've done mine. So people can actually buy directly through Instagram, and it just redirects them to your website.
Okay, guys. Right, we're going to wrap up. So that's the questions from everybody that's submitted. Say apologies if we've not got to yours, and thank you for those the submissions. Much appreciated. Kept us inside and in the warm. We're going to do a quick fire, one question each. I've got some random questions that have all got a number by them. So Sam, I'm going to chuck a number, chuck to you. If you pick a number and I'll ask you a question, short, sharp, concise. So pick a number, mate.
7.
Number 7. Favorite type of landscape to shoot?
Oh, misty. Yeah, honestly, it makes everything, even stuff that is normally awful to look at, it looks amazing in mist.
Tim, choose a number.
Number 4.
Number 4, we have got. Do you prefer shooting nighttime or daytime? Very apt one for you.
That's a good one for me.
That is.
That's a tough one. Both. Both. That's
you do favour you like to spend a lot of time with fire, don't you? Which generally works better at night time.
Yes. Yeah. I like a little bit of fire. So yeah, but I also like a bit of sunset, sunrises, all that sort of stuff. So, but I like the mountains and hills and all that sort of stuff as well. So.
Right, so I've got to choose a number now. You're not going to be able to read out the questions because you can't see them. So I'll choose my own number. I'm going to go with number. I don't know what these are actually. Number 3. Which aspect of your photography do you want to improve? That's a toughie. I would like to improve my portrait photography because it's something I've not particularly dabbled in. I very rarely take pictures of people or subjects. So I could take a picture of somebody within a landscape photo, and I love doing that in terms of bringing scale to an image. But in terms of an actual portrait of somebody, it's not something I've touched on, so definitely that. Right, gentlemen. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you very, very much for your time and the answers to your questions. Hopefully that'll help a few people that are just beginning on their photography journeys. And I will speak to you guys, as I often do every day. But I'll speak to you guys and hopefully see you guys very, very soon. Behind the Lens is out of here for now. Cheers, chaps.